wanted to go over some of the more difficult problems that was in our Activity 21 homework. Activity 21 deals with the special right triangles. Now, there were some very important and honestly quite difficult questions in this homework. I'm first going to look at Springboard page 293, and look at number 9. It says that the perimeter of a square picture frame is 40 centimeters. So all the side lengths of a square are congruent. So if the perimeter is 40, I can just take 40 divided by 4 and figure out that each side length has to be 10 centimeters. So it says find the length of the diagonal in the frame. So what we're searching for is that length there. When you draw in one of the diagonals in a square, you break the square up into two isosceles right triangles. This side's congruent to that side. And so you can easily show that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So if my two side lengths are 10 units long, that means my hypotenuse of that 45, 45, 90 triangle is 10 square root 2. So 10 square roots of 2 would be the length of that diagonal. I'm now going to jump over to page 294. I'm going to look at number 12. This one's very similar, but you're given different information. And so we still have this square. But we are tasked with finding its perimeter this time. They tell us that the diagonal is 14. So they tell us that this is 14 inches. So once again, when this happens, when you have a diagonal drawn into a square, it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And so the extended ratio that the side lengths follow is L squared roots of 2. And what I have right now is that the hypotenuse is 14. That is your equation that you need to solve for. So 14 is L square roots of 2. So to get back to the length of the leg, we have to divide by the square root of 2. You can't have the square root of 2 in the denominator, so we're going to have to rationalize it by multiplying by the square root of 2 on top and bottom. So we get 14 square roots of 2 divided by 2, because square root of 2 times itself is just 2. But then we can reduce this. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So 7 square roots of 2 is each side length. So if each side length is 7 square roots of 2, and I've got 4 of them, then my perimeter is going to be 28 of the square roots of 2. Because I've got 7, 14, 21, and then 28 of these square roots of 2, and my units is inches. So there we go. Number 11, we'll check number 11 out. It says that each leg of an isosceles right triangle is 5. That means the hypotenuse must be 5 square roots of 2. To find the perimeter, you just add these up. That'd be 5 plus 5 plus 5 square roots of 2. Remember that you can't combine a whole number 10 and then a term with the square roots. So this would be your most simplified answer. The area, remember that the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. Well, the base and the height have to always be perpendicular to one another. Well, your legs are perpendicular to one another. And if each leg is 5, then the area is 1/2 times 5 times 5, which would be 25 divided by 2, which that's the answer that I would prefer because it's a fraction. But that is 12.5. 12.5 would be the area, square units. Okay, moving on to page 298. On page 298, I wanted to look at number 16. Number 16 says that one side of an equilateral triangle is 8 centimeters. Well, that means that each one is 8 because it's equilateral. We've talked about this before in class, but if you have an equilateral, it is also equiangular. That only works for triangles. But if it's equilateral, then it's also equiangular, and then vice versa. If it's equiangular, then it's equilateral. Those go hand in hand. So the three interior angles of any triangle add up to be 180 degrees. So if they're all the same, that means each one's going to be 60. Each one's going to be 60. Well, we need to find the length of the altitude. Altitude is the height. So an altitude goes from a vertex straight down and is perpendicular to that opposite side. When you do that, you separate this equilateral triangle into two congruent 30, 60, 90 triangles. And so when you focus on just one 30, 60, 90 triangle, I know that my hypotenuse is 8, so my short leg is half of that, 4, and that means that height, or that altitude, is 4 square root 3. On the test, you're going to have to go further, and you'll have to find the area. But the area is just 1/2 times base times height. And so the base of my original triangle is 8. Of my original triangle is 8. And then my height, I just solved for that. It is 4 square root 3. So 1/2 of 8 is 4. And then 4 times itself, 4, is 16. So we get area is 16 square root of 3. For number 19, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, number 17 is extremely similar to number 16, but rather than them telling you one side length, they say the perimeter is 36. Just divide that by 3, and then you know that each side length is 12, and then it's the same exact question. Number 19 here. This is 30, 60, 90. This is 3 30, 60, 90 triangles in one diagram. So focusing on the medium-sized one, I know that its short leg is 10 square roots of 3. So the hypotenuse would be double that, 20 square roots of 3. And then to find the long leg, we would multiply by the square root of 3 and get 30. On the smallest right triangle here, this is its long leg. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And what we know is that the long leg is 10 square roots of 3. That's what we're given about the small one. That means the length of the short leg is 10, and this is 20. So my hypotenuse is 20, and that's 10. So finding the perimeter of the largest triangle PQR, you would add 20 plus 10 plus 30 plus 20 square roots of 3. So the perimeter of triangle PQR would equal to 60 plus 20 square roots of 3. Remember that you can't add a whole number with a term that has a radical in it. So we just draw them write them next to one another. I think that's the only problems I wanted to go over. You can practice solving number 5. That's the same thing where you're given it the diagonal of a square within it, and it creates 45, 45, 90 triangles. Number 9, you have to understand that since this is 60 That's going to be 30 degrees because these are right angles. So that's the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so you're given that the hypotenuse is 8. So divide by 2 to get your short leg, get 4. And then this value of m would be 4 square roots of 3. And then this is number 11 is an important problem. We did one together that's just like that. Okay, thank you.